name is Holly, and I'm a student at Northern Arizona University. For this week's peer topic, I will be sharing with you the cultural iceberg. This is a really interesting topic for me to understand the definition of culture and how culture has played a role in my life.
So during my peer topic today, first I will summarize the content from the materials. What is anthropology, what is culture, and the cultural iceberg. Next, I will personally connect my own experience as an undergraduate studying abroad and living in India. And I'll end with 3 questions for you for the discussion board. So what is anthropology? According to the American Anthropological Association, anthropology is the study of what makes us human. It examines many aspects of the human experience, and there are 4 subfields of anthropology: archaeology, biological anthropology, cultural anthropology, and linguistic anthropology. Archaeology is the study of prehistory and ancestral humans by examining what we've left behind. Biological anthropology looks at the evolution of humans over time and compares us to the evolution of other animals. Cultural anthropology is the study of human societies that are still in existence today and elements of cultural life from economics to health to education and more. Linguistic anthropology focuses on language diversity and how language shapes culture. Although anthropology is the study of culture, culture intersects in many other fields such as psychology, sociology, and language study. But really, culture is interdisciplinary. If your field involves working with people, you should consider what cultural differences may impact your work. So what is the definition of culture? After the first week's readings and viewings, as well as the materials presented in my peer topic, I would define culture as a learned and shared system of beliefs and behaviors between groups of people transmitted over time, but also constantly changing. Here's another way to think about the definition of culture. Culture is like water for fish. We may be conscious of it, but it's a medium in and through which we live. When you enter into another culture, you notice it immediately, even if you cannot define or explain it. An even better analogy is the cultural iceberg. American anthropologist Edward T. Hall suggested that culture is like an iceberg, with observable things at the tip of the iceberg and then non-observable things under the water. This is called emic and etic perspective. The etic perspective comes from the outside, the external observations of just the tip of the iceberg. When you learn about a new culture, these are the really obvious things that you see, such as art, music, language, dress, festivals, and food. But as you begin to learn more, you start to go deeper. The emic perspective goes deeper into the water and explains what you see on the outside. These things might be communication styles, notions of friendship or family, concepts of work and time, or attitudes towards different parts of cultural life. Taking this internal perspective can really tell you a lot about that deep culture. For example, not just that your meal has many courses and takes a long time to finish, but there's a deeper value of social connection between courses and a requirement to savor the taste of your meals, which influences how the meal is served. Another example is looking at clothing from the outside in. So from the outside, the clothing may be very formal and cover up a lot of the body despite being a very humid or hot destination. But deep down, this might reveal cultural attitudes about modesty, gender, or what is appropriate. Edward T. Hall's cultural iceberg model is one way of understanding etic and emic perspectives, or surface and deep culture. Whenever you go into another culture, always think about what's below the water that might explain or influence behaviors and beliefs. It's important when you are trying to navigate this new culture. My personal connection. I first started learning about anthropology and culture in my undergrad with one of my very first professors, Dr. Robert Kelly. We're actually reading some of his book in this class. He really inspired me to think about how culture impacts so many parts of the world and our role in the future. All of this became very real for me during my year living in India. I had been awarded a Fulbright grant to teach English at a government-aided school in New Delhi. I was also recently married. My partner decided to come with me to India, and we were going on a grand adventure that would take us far out of our comfort zone. When we moved into our new neighborhood, I started interacting with local people, such as my landlord, shopkeepers, and other people we would meet. Anytime I would ask a question to an Indian man, he would turn and answer my husband instead. Coming from a Western culture, I was very confused. New Delhi was a modern, international city. I was surprised that they were so conservative, and I wondered if it was gender discrimination. I even started to feel a bit offended. However, after learning more about Indian culture, I realized that they were trying not to offend my husband, and it was actually uncomfortable for them to speak directly to me. So this was a very culturally challenging but also rewarding experience to see something from another perspective, to challenge my first assumption that they had some negative discrimination towards women, when really it had a lot more to do with just ways of communication. So here are 3 questions to think about regarding the cultural iceberg. 1. Do you think anthropology and the cultural iceberg will be important for you in your future career? 2. Where do you want to travel abroad to next? And will you use the cultural iceberg to prepare yourself? And 3. Can you think of any other analogy to describe culture?